everybody, good evening. I am here and having a wonderful time getting ready for Nikki. And when she comes on, I'll tell you all about her. So it's going to be lots of fun. So it's going to be an interesting night. Nikki is a trailblazer in her field and she has some wonderful things to say. And I'm hanging on because that's what Instagram does. So one of the things that we're doing tonight, we're talking about Nikki's journey and the things that she does. So we should have a wonderful time with this. So let's see how we do. 1 minute or so to go, and then I'll see if I can find Nikki. So let me see if I can bring Nikki in. I just sent a request, so let's see what Nikki is going to do. She'll come on in a few minutes. And let's see what happens. If everybody should jump in to say, hi, Nikki. Here you are. I sent you a little note, so click on it. And you will be able to join me. I have to do it again if I don't see you coming on in a few minutes, in a few seconds. Let's see. Waiting for you. So try to see if you can see the note I sent you. I'll try again in a few seconds. Okay, it shouldn't take you this long, so I'm going to go back out and try again. Hi, Donato. Okay, send it out to you. Send another request. Okay, so let's go. It said we are waiting for you. Connect.
Hi, Tessa.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am wonderful. So what's up with you?
Amazing. I was busy. Great day. Fruitful day. I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm here. Thank you very much for your kind invitation.
No, well, I wanted to meet with you because you are such a fascinating lady, and you know, I heard a lot about you from a friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate you and the friend.
Me too. I appreciate you and the friend. So it's lovely to have such a charming guest tonight. And those of you who don't know, this is Nikki, and Nikki is a trailblazer in her field. As you can see, she's a young lady, so a young upcoming real estate broker, which is very soon going to just take the market by storm. And we're all going to join with her to make sure that she's able to do that. So Nikki has this fabulous story, and I'm going to ask her some questions a little bit. And the first question to you, Nikki, I didn't tell you last night, but I wanted to surprise you. What drove you into real estate?
Well, thank you very much. I just want to say hi to everyone who is in the live right now. Hi, Donato. Thank you very much for arranging this live. And like I have the privilege of meeting with this nice lady with lots of years of experience. And I'm learning from her. I plan to learn from her. Thank you very much for everybody who is in the live right now. So your question is how I came to real estate, right?
Yeah, how you found of all the things, why real estate and what drove you?
Yeah, so like my background is architecture. So I have master's degree in architecture and I was a university instructor back home in Iran for 7 years. So when I immigrated here, Tessa, you know, immigration is like a restart in the life. So you have to do everything from scratch. Everything.
I know.
So here I started to work as a sales, and I was working as a sales, like not architect, but as a sales in the biggest Chinese media in North America. And after that, I said, okay, let's find something which is related to both sales and architecture. So then I found real estate and I started to take the courses. And then, yeah, so I started my journey as a real estate agent.
Also, so that's how you went from, you realize you're going to put architecture and sales together. That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, because like my background in architecture helps me like to find the best layouts for my client, especially the ones who are users, Tessa. Because when you are a user, you need to love your place.
Yes.
You need to love your home. So that's why that kind of background helped me, and I have trained eyes to pick the best layouts, best builders, like best materials. Those kind of things helps me a lot. As well, sales is a job that you need to socialize with people, and I love it.
I
So like
know.
I didn't want to just be an architect, just do designs in front of computer, not meeting people. No, no, no. I'm a people's person, very sociable. So I want to talk with them. I want to get to know them. So that's why I found this actually real estate business, and I'm very happy in that.
I can see that. I know you would enjoy unit from what I know. I can see that it's something you're very passionate about. But now that I found out you're an architect, that is a string that is very long in my family. My dad was, and a few of my brothers are engineers, stuff like that. So I understand the love of architecture. And then to get into sale and bring it together, as an architect, you can see in 3D. Most people cannot see in 3D. So my dad taught me to read a plan, and that was how I was able to design clothes, because you have to look at it in 3D. So that helps your client, because I know for sure some of them walk in and cannot see the possibilities. You have to bring it out. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so for example, in some apartments, for example, a den, which is very like normal here, having a den, 2 plus den, 1 plus den. I actually try to find those layouts that the den can easily become a bedroom. So like we have different types of den in the layout. Or for example, if they don't have a closet, like recently the builders are building some condos very small, especially downtown. Having said that, so for example, if they are thinking where to put the closet, where to put this, that, how to use the best of the space, I can definitely help them in that regard.
So that is really important for you, because you're seeing for them what they are not able to see for themselves.
Yes.
And
100%.
One of the things when you meet the younger buyers, because this is what is your buyer should be in that group that is coming into their 30s. They graduated from university, but the salary hasn't come to the top. How do you counsel them when they come looking for something and they have no idea? I know, I've seen a little bit of that. What do you do with them?
Yeah, okay. So first of all, I try to qualify them, meaning that I try to understand how much is their income if they are working, how much is their income, yearly income, and also how much is actually their down payment. These are the key factors that tells me which direction it's better for them to take. So if they have the down payment, if they have like a stable job, like it's in that age, we know that it's a little bit hard. So I have had this scenario where I actually had young professionals who bought properties. Either they had their own saving, but they bought like a smaller unit, like a studio, a 1 bedroom, which makes sense. Like, I mean, that the first step is the most important step. You don't need to go to a 3 bedroom unit while you don't need it. You just need to start from somewhere. And they can do that. Or I have had other scenarios, Tessa, that the parents came to help. And they helped them either for the down payment or for the mortgage. So they became the co-signers of the daughter or son. So you can help me out with that. You're an expert in that regard. So that makes it easier for them to be able to buy. Another thing that I actually see in my clients, I deal with them, a lot of them who have been able to buy a property, they were living with parents and they were saving that money instead of paying the rent. they were saving the money for putting the down payment, which is very smart. And whenever I'm talking with my clients who are in the range of like 20 to 30, I always tell them, if you can do that, if you have that support from your parents, that's perfect.
Well, it's really true, because it's very difficult after you've gone to university to come back home and stay with your parents. It's really difficult to do.
I know.
So you have to be a very serious human being and really want to get into your own place, to go in and take this stuff and do it all over, you know, and stay there and have to deal with mom and dad or other siblings that are still in the house. So sometimes when you meet these clients, I know it's really engaging to help them and to compliment them. One of the things you said, you said that I can help with that, is that when the parents give them the cosign, that is a big strength. And that is something people should consider, because sometimes the parents has the better credit, a better credit routine, they have more assets, they're not working, they have a pension, and sometimes they are working, but they have no debt. And that supports it. Now, you specialize, you do like one particular type of housing more than the other. And I'm not going to say what it is. So what is your favorite?
Okay.
Because you can get a house or a townhouse, a condo from scratch, a condo that's pre-built. Where do you get the best success from for these people?
Okay, so after I qualify them, Tessa, I find out like which direction is best for them to take. And one of the dear guests here, Anush, thank you very much for your question. He's asking, how about if we don't have the parent support? That's a very good question. Thank you for asking it, because
let us continue and then we'll answer him after.
Okay, because it is related to this question. So if I actually see they are qualified for buying a building which is ready right now, and they can be approved for the mortgage either by the help of their parents or not, I'm gonna go to the resale direction. And if I see that they're not going to be qualified for the mortgage, or they don't have that down payment, which usually we need, like, usually I'm just saying we need 20% of the purchase price. In some cases, they can, if they be qualified, even you are more aware of that, you know more about me and more about that part, that they can be qualified for only 5% down. But these are the criteria that the banks tell them. If they don't be qualified, then the best option for them can be pre-construction. And I can tell you why pre-construction can work very well for these kind of people.
Okay, so now that let's answer him the question. The girl, Maddie, answer the question, because she said, how about if you don't have a parent? So you just said something about pre-construction. That is a big, so go ahead.
Yeah, so to answer your question, Anush, again, if you're not qualified, like you alone without the support of your parents, if you're not qualified to buy something right now, still there are lots of hopes for you. The best option that can work for you gonna be pre-construction. And the answer is, the question is why. So if you think about it, pre-construction gives you time to collect your down payment, because it takes time, like about 3 to 4 years, depending on the project, that you need to actually pay your down payment. And you don't need to pay a lump sum of 20%. So say if you're buying something for $700,000, 20% of that would be $140,000. So in pre-construction scenario, you have the flexibility to pay the like in installments of only 5% per, say, 3 months, 6 months. Even we have options that you need to pay only 5% per year right now because of the pandemic, because we have great actually incentives and deposit structures right now that we didn't have them before pandemic. So having said that, it makes it very easy for you to collect your down payment gradually and little by little. It doesn't put lots of pressure on you. Not only that, but also in terms of your mortgage approval, because the time of the closing of the building is not now. It's going to be 3 years, 4 years, even 5 years from now. That's why it's best for you as a young professional, because you're going to be established in your job during this period and your income will be more. So it's becoming easier for you to get an approval from the bank, say in 4 years or 5 years from now. So you don't need to be worried about your income right now. And at the same time, again, I'm a very conservative agent. I always tell that I never ever risk my clients' hard-earned money. So I always check that what is actually suitable for you based on your current income. So I'm not going to suggest you buy something which is not affordable for you in 5 years, 6 years from now. No, something which is actually affordable and reasonable for a young professional.
One of the things I wanted to touch on is the ability to use some of the RSPs. Does that would go with his question also?
Yes, they can, as you mentioned, as a first-time home buyer, you can use your RSP up to $35,000, and you can pay it back in 15 years. Tessa can correct me if I'm wrong. And if you're a couple, both of you can use like $35,000 each. So totally you can use $70,000 as your down payment and pay it back in 15 years. Am I right, Tessa?
Yeah. Yes, you are. So the joy of it, like, because a lot of people are in this category that you don't have the parent support. And one of the things that you can do is, although you're working and you just want to buy this condo and it's where you're waiting for the building time, which is all the townhouse, 4 years to 18 months, you can do your RSP in the meantime. And as long as the RSP has been there for 90 days, you can take it off when it's time to do that. The nice thing about it though, that $35,000 does not only have to go towards the down payment. It can go towards moving costs, legal fees, even buying furniture, as long as you do it in the time you're purchasing this place for the first time. So the idea of using your RSP is a win-win for you, because you are getting to give yourself a $35,000 mortgage with no interest. Basically, that's what you're doing. But the thing is that you have 15 years to put it back. You're not paying a loan, and you're just paying 1/15 of it, and you have 15 years to do that. And all you're doing is recontributing to your RSP. So your RSP, when you put the money in there, the first thing you get is a refund, because it is deducted from your salary. Your salary is $40,000, you have $5,000 of RSP. No, your salary is $35,000, but your employer took tax on $40,000, so the government sends you a refund. That refund can go towards your down payment also. So you're winning there, and then you're able to use that towards the full amount now towards your down payment. And then when you get older, you have this RSP to draw. So it's a 3 ways you save with your RSP. So it's a good thing. And without a parental support, it's really one of the best things. It helps you to accumulate money. And a new build for a condo is 4 years. For a townhouse is 18 months to 2 years. Maybe with COVID, it might take a little longer because of how they're working. But that is a place where you can do so much. And Nikki, you get a lot of pleasure of seeing young people get into their own home. When I spoke to you, you seem to have such a knack for it. And I think perhaps it's having been an architect helps a lot.
For sure.
Yeah,
100%. And I actually, I have done a lot of things in terms of real estate, in terms of investment. I mean, from the time that I came to Canada till now, I have done some stuff myself, and I have seen the value of investing in real estate with my own eyes. And I try to educate them. And I always tell them, I want to see you as a multiple property owner in Canada.
I love that. I always say that. I always do. So go
Yeah,
ahead.
exactly. And I have seen like how much profit you can make when you buy real estate after a few years because of the appreciation. And it's like if it's your principal residency, when you sell it, Tessa, it's tax free.
Of
So
course, that is what.
very, very key. So
Yes.
I always try to educate them that when you sell your property after a few years and you make profit out of it, I have seen that it's like about 2 years, 3 years, 4 years working full time, the profit.
Yes, it can be, you know. And the other thing that is great about it is that people don't realize buying a condo, and I'm sure there's people out there that are talking about maintenance fee is a setback. And sometimes the people who tell you that maybe have never even bought a home themselves. They have no idea. They just heard of the maintenance fee and they think that maintenance fee goes to nothing. Explain to them what that about a new buy, the lower maintenance fee and what it really covers.
Sure. So one thing about maintenance fee is that for pre-construction, because the building is new, the appliances are new. Actually, one of the factors, one of the reasons that a lot of people love pre-construction, because it has the lowest amount of maintenance fee, because everything is new. So you're saving a lot of money. But again, we had a conversation with you last night and you mentioned a very great point that anyway, somebody should do the maintenance, either the property management or themselves. But somebody should spend time. So if they want to, if they're not happy with somebody else doing their maintenance, then they have to do it themselves, but they don't value their time. Like there are a lot of time that they should spend on maintaining, like cleaning, shoveling the snow, or I don't know, fixing this, that, bringing a contractor. I know, and it's very time consuming. So instead of focusing on your job and thinking about like making a great profit, I'm talking about like $100,000 like after you sell your property, after not 1 year, after 5 years. So you don't think about these minor things like saving, I don't know, $100 per month, $200 for maintenance. This is nothing in comparison with the money that you're gonna make at the end of the journey.
Well, as a young professional too, what I encourage, which I always do, if you buy a condo and you can take the money out of it when your salary has come up or you're getting married and you have two incomes together, you can take the equity from this condo and go towards your own home, buying another property, a house, maybe another type of house. But that condo now can be rented, and you'll make an income which will cover the condo costs and everything. And every time the condo goes up in value, you can take more equity to pay off your family home. So that condo now becomes a business.
Exactly.
And you write off the expenses. You might never leave your home to go collect the check, but the government allows you a certain amount of money for that. They allow you a certain amount of money for your light, your electricity at home, for doing the work on that condo. And then eventually you pay off your house quite faster by taking every 2-3 years, taking 40,000-50,000 from the rental person and put it onto your house. Because then the most important thing is that your home should be free. Your home that you live in, you don't get to write off anything on it. So you pay that down as soon as possible using the condo as your springboard. And then the condo, the interest you pay on the condo and all the expenses is tax deductible because you're running a business. And a condo doesn't have, and even if you have to hire somebody to get the right tenant for you, it's worth it. So when you start into real estate, you can make money if you want to put in the effort and the thought and maybe some elbow grease, like they say, a little bit of work. But the maintenance fee of a condo should never stop you from buying a condo. Because if you own a house, the thing I always say to the people I mentor and coach is that you can lock your door when you're in the condo and go on vacation. You don't have to worry about it. But if you have a house, who picks up the mail? Who shovels the snow? Who cuts the grass? Who is checking to see the furnace didn't blow up? The house is not on fire. The roof is leaking. You have to fix it. So when someone tells, and a lot of older parents are telling their children, don't buy a condo, try to save to buy a house. But because of the maintenance fee, but they don't value their time. They don't value their strain back either from shoveling the snow. And if you have to put a cost on it, I have done the math, it is more expensive to carry a house maintenance if you charge it yourself than to pay for the maintenance of a condo. It's far more. And
100%.
Plus you don't have the security you have of a concierge to let you in and out and all that type of stuff.
100%. And when I put the numbers for them in the calculator, and I show them with numbers, because numbers never lie.
No.
So I show them with numbers all the costs, including in the purchasing of a condo, like any property, closing costs, everything. And then at the end of the day, I will show them based on the appreciation in the market, whether it's a house or it's a condo, whatever it is, I show you like how numbers are saying that investing in real estate is one of the best ways to have financial security and freedom in future, and to have early retirement in Canada.
Yes. And you can also, and you also is the beginning of growing wealth and leaving a legacy. That is where you can start to grow wealth. Working for somebody, making an income does not make you wealthy unless you have ways of investing your money. And that is one of the investments, especially in Ontario, where it goes up 15, sometimes some years it's 20% in 1 year you can get on in some areas of the city. So it's a win-win all the time.
Exactly.
And when you meet somebody that you can talk to, that are young groups or you of graduates or people like that, when you meet them and you're talking with them, do you wave that carrot of financial freedom in front of them when you
Absolutely. And thanks to my mentor Donato, because he has taught me a lot of great things in terms of mindset and investing and all these things. A lot of people are focused on saving money rather than making money, Tessa.
I know.
A lot of them have that kind of a scarcity mindset, and they're very fearful. And I get it and I understand it. And sometimes even when I look at my past, I was sometimes like them, so I understand them. So that's why I try to teach them, to educate them. Okay, these are the costs, but look at the bigger picture and look at the profit that you're gonna make. And I always show them the numbers. I don't just talk. And then I help them I tell them, hey, do you want to work harder or do you want to work smarter? Thank you, Donato. So that's the reality.
Well, it is. And another thing I wanted to bring a point that is, sometimes it's coming more common now, because a lot of the parents just after the baby boomers, and they are now in a position to give their children some money. And the bank always wants to know where that money is coming from, if it has to be paid back. So have you ever come across the gift letter?
No, honestly, no. And I would appreciate if you want to elaborate on that, because I haven't come across that topic with my clients.
So a gift letter is where the parents wants to give them some money towards the purchase of their home.
Mm-hmm.
And the parents there's a letter that will be signed and notarized by the lawyer, and the bank has to agree that the parents is giving them that 25,000 or 30,000 or whatever thousand, and that they don't have to pay it back.
Okay.
So it's called a gift.
Okay.
So the reason why the bank wants to make sure they have that gift letter and that it is properly done is that, as you know, when you buy a home, if you have all the expenses, other type of charges or credit products, you cannot carry the mortgage, and they want to safeguard their money. Mm-hmm. So that's the gift letter. So sometimes they tell you, my parents will give me some money, and then you can just say, yeah, but they have to sign off that you don't have to pay it back.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a great point. So
yeah.
you're saying that the bank needs that kind of document.
If whoever is doing the mortgage will, if it's a broker, they'll need it. Because one advice though, that is okay. The gift letter, that's all that's to it, is that it has to be signed off, that it's not repaid. They don't have to repay it. But I wanted to bring another point for you. How do you manage when they have credit cards? What do you tell them about their several credit cards?
Several credit cards?
When they have more than one, more than three, more than four.
I always tell them, be very careful about spending money on your credit card. Me personally, I have only like 2 credit cards, and I remember somebody, like a financial advisor, a friend of mine, told me that don't have more than like maximum 2 credit cards. It's not a good and wise thing to do. But yeah, I would tell them the same thing. And I always tell them, when you want to buy a property, do not go and buy a car. Do not spend your money on this and that, because then you're going to have problems in terms of your mortgage approval. So I tell them to be very conservative in that regard.
Okay, so because the credit card, I only have 2. I have 2 only because I shop a lot on Amazon, and it has a $600 limit. So I have 2, one with 600 and one with another limit that I don't use for everyday stuff. But many times the banks, you go to the university, to the colleges, and give them a credit card right there for $500 or a little bit more. And that credit card, everybody wants to give them a credit card. We have 5 big banks. So there they are with 5 cards of $500. That's $2,500. By the time they begin working to come to get a mortgage, this $2,500 has grown up to $5,000 or more. So what people don't know, and sometimes the qualifying agent doesn't always put it in place, is that once you have these credit cards, whether the balance is at 0, when you're qualifying for a mortgage, they're going to look at it like you have maxed them out. So that brings down your ratio. So your TDS and your GDS drops, right? So that brings down the ratio. So one of the things to always watch with them is to ask them to have one card and lower, even if they have a card for $6,000, I used to tell my clients, get them to drop it to $1,000. When you're in the house, you can raise it up if you want. They'll be happy to give you that. But don't close the card. When you close the card, you're sending the message that you cannot pay for the card. You cannot make the payment. So that too is negative. You see what I mean?
Oh, that's a great point. Thank you, Tessa, for sharing.
On the credit bureau, it shows as card closed by customer or card closed by credit grantor. Whoever closes the card is not good. They look at it like you couldn't pay for it, so you close it. So instead of closing the card, get them to drop your limit to $500, $1,000, something like that, and that lowers your ratio. So then your debt service ratio or your gross debt is not as high. So these are the little things, because especially now with the pandemic, a lot of people are using credit cards more than ever. So they will still have it, but they have to know to drop the limit, pay it off naturally, and drop the limit. Because you won't, they might qualify, but it's 41, 31 or whatever it is. It's very close. And if it's too close, then they take the living expenses and that just sends it over the top.
That's very, very helpful point. Thank you, Tessa, for sharing it.
Yeah, because these are the things when you're doing the numbers for them. And then if you don't tell them to close the card. Never close the card. Yeah. Decrease the card.
Okay, got you. So even if they don't use that credit card, you say that the number of credit cards, the more it's worse for them in terms of GTP and GDS and TDS.
Yeah, the GTS and TDS. Yeah. Because what happens is they have to calculate it like you're going to max it out. So that goes in your debt column because you have the exposure. What is going to stop you from going to use it up to furnish the whole house with brand new stuff? then you cannot make a mortgage payment.
Mm-hmm.
And that type of thing. How do you handle how do you handle income?
Well, I asked them like, how much is your income? How much is your income yearly? And then based on that, I actually times it to 5. And then just roughly tell them how much they're going to be qualified for the mortgage. So say their income, if their income is $40,000 per year, I do like the calculation, like 40 times 5, it got to be $200,000 mortgage, just a rule of thumb, very simple. And $200,000 would be their mortgage, and the rest of it would be their down payment, and then the total amount would be their purchase price. So I just do it very simple, but I don't go to too much details. Maybe you want to do the like more explanation about that.
It's a little bit complicated, but it's what you said there is giving them the basic.
Mm-hmm.
So that is really good. That gives them the picture. So when you consider that, from that number, you have to subtract the credit cards.
I see.
Okay.
Okay.
So that would bring the number down. So that would be lower. So they would have to come up with more down payment. You understand? Because the budget amount has dropped. So basically that is what it is. And it's almost like reverse, because we use a financial calculator or financial setup in your head and you figure it out. But what you're doing there is good enough. But always check with them that the credit card is at 0. Another thing I wanted to ask you, do they ever come to you with a pre-approval letter?
If they want to buy a resale, like if they want to have showings, going to see this property, that property, first thing first, I gotta ask them, you need to have a mortgage pre-approval. Okay. Because other than that, it's a waste of time for you and for me. And even though we go and submit the offer, but at the end of the day, you're not going to be approved for that purchase price. So what is the point? So yes. First thing first, always, yes, I gotta ask them to go and have a pre-approval talk with a mortgage specialist to find out where they're standing in terms of mortgage.
Okay, that is important, because that is something, as you say, for a resale, they need that. Tell a little bit more, because now that we went into that part of it, tell us a little bit more how on a new buy, because that's the most popular thing for the people that are watching us tonight, they're younger. On a new buy, how the checks that they have to give, or the amount of payment, how it is started.
Okay, so for the pre-construction, for resale, yeah, again, I send them to the mortgage specialist first, and then I will start the process for them. For pre-construction, the deposit structure, as I mentioned, is installments of 5%, 5%, 5%, and during like 2 years, 3 years, depending on when is the occupancy of the project. And if it's a low rise, as you mentioned, it takes less time. But if it's a high rise, if they buy a unit in the higher floors, it's a longer process. So because of the COVID, even this 5%, sometimes in some developers, it has become to 2.5% only, in like every 6 months, every 3 months, every 4 months. So it's very, very easy, and they gradually pay it. They don't have that much stress, and it's very simple. Even we had some scenarios that the buyer said, Nikki, for example, I have a problem with the third installment. And during the 10-day cooling off period, I actually negotiated with the developer, and I explained my client's situation. And they actually got back to me with giving more like extended time for that deposit structure. So it's doable, but it depends case by case on each developer. Not all of them, I'm not saying all of them are flexible, but some of them might be. And yeah, again, it puts less pressure on these young professionals if they want to come to the market.
So what I gathered from what you say, you play a very important role between your client and the seller, or whether it's a developer or a sale for a real estate agent. So you seem to be very involved with your client, those that come to see you, and you give them that type of and thing. If you have so that way you're helping them by when you are the one doing the conversation with the developer on what that they cannot make that fourth down payment in 90 days from the day they sign, and you are the one addressing the developer to give them that break. You must realize, of course, how wonderful that is for you to do that, because you're taking a big stress from these young professionals.
Exactly. So exactly. So we had these scenarios, and I explained, so this is my client, she's a young professional, or he's a young professional, he's making like he's getting established. So I explained to them, because sometimes the builder gets stressed out, maybe he's thinking maybe this buyer is not qualified enough. So I need to explain to them in detail that what is the situation of my client, and it's just about like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months extension, and she or he is able to pay that. So I explain everything in detail, and then they decide if they want to approve it or not. So it's not under my control, but I always do my best for my clients to be like, not to be stressed out. I want everything to be smooth during this whole process for them.
But it's good, because I know from being in the bank, not all real estate agents do that. So you're going there, that is an extra step, and that extra step pays off, because to grow business, you need the references, you need the person to refer you to another bank, and she was good and she stood up for us. How do you deal with somebody when you have a client in a resale, and they don't want to get a inspection before in their cooling off period? How do you manage that? Because sometimes they don't, and sometimes they should. So how do you manage that?
Inspection of the
Of the resale property, not a
okay. I always actually advise them to do that. Sometimes it depends on the market. Like I have clients who are actually house buyers right now, and the housing market, it's on fire.
It
so
is.
Everything is fair. Like your offer should be fair. Any single condition, if you have, because they're facing multiple offers and bidding wars, and I have been in that situation with my clients, and we are competing with 20 different other offers. So I know that home inspection is very well, like if you want to be conservative, we need to do that. It's great for the benefit, for the benefit of the buyer, but it depends on the market situation. If they want to really buy something in a seller's market, like housing market right now, if I input that clause, the seller doesn't look at my offer at all. They just want firm offers. And unfortunately, that is the market condition.
Yes, it is. That's why I asked you that question.
So I tell them the truth. I tell them, well, it is perfect that you do that, but just know that if you do that, the chances that our offer be accepted becomes very low, because there are other offers that are fair. And the seller wants a firm offer. He doesn't want to have headaches. He just wants to sell it as soon as possible.
No conditions, right?
100%. So if it's a like seller's market, like housing right now that I'm dealing with, no, I tell them the story, and I educate them, and they tell me, like, they usually tell me like, okay, we want it or we don't want it. But in the condo market, which is a buyer's market right now, we can have conditions, and I always put that and include that in the offer as one of the conditions, other than the financing or lawyer reviewing the status certificate. home inspection or condo inspection is always one of the conditions.
Yeah, the YCC, the condo board, and the amount of money they have, you know, all of that. The YCC is important. That is true.
Yes.
So one of the, so that is actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because although in the condo market it's a buyer's market, it's not because of a glut. It's because that people who were in condos because of COVID moved to houses.
Yes.
And people might think in their mind there's a glut, but give that type of thing a year, 18 months, it's going to be back up again, because the bottom feeders has to come in. There's young people always going to have to buy, and that's why you need immigration. Without immigration, your housing market suffers a lot.
A lot.
You have no young, you don't have the new families coming at the bottom to push the market up, and people don't understand that market now. The condo market is like this. It's like a trough. It's just sitting there and it's swinging, but it's not moving up. So you need the stimulation of the economy and young people getting their jobs back and some immigration, and it pushes that market.
Oh
up.
yeah, 100%.
So, and people don't get that. I don't know why they don't get that.
Yeah, well, just imagine this. How come a young person go and live in a house in the middle of nowhere for a long time? Young people, they need restaurants, they need bars, they need that kind of lifestyle.
Well, you know, there's something I always told the people I guided and mentored and coached to buy in their own homes. I always said to them, when you were young and you're single, you should live downtown. You're close to the restaurant and the bars. When you get ready to have children, move to the suburbs. When you get to be a senior citizen, move back downtown. You're close to the hospital and the church.
Exactly. And that's why, like, now is one of the best times in history to come to the condo market in Toronto, especially downtown.
Yes, downtown.
Because people are moving like in the suburbs because they need more space. They're working remotely. So that's why the housing market is very hot, and it's best time to sell houses and come to the condo market right now.
It is.
That is very smart right now.
Yeah, it is. So we had a great talk. You have any questions for me? This was amazing. I'm so glad you came, and all these people that came. We had.
Thank you very much, Tessa. Thank you very much. I have a quick question for you. And you mentioned about how to save more money when we are paying back the mortgage. And you said that when we increase the monthly payments, we're going to save a lot.
Okay. So number one, there's hardly one mortgage that's paid in the world or in Toronto that's monthly anymore. Nobody pays it monthly.
Bi-weekly.
They pay it weekly or bi-weekly.
I see.
Yeah. So weekly, if you pay monthly, you have 12 payments, right? But if you pay bi-weekly or weekly, you have 13. You have 26 payments.
True.
So that's 13 months. So what you're doing is that you're paying off your house faster, because you're paying one full payment every year more than you would have paid it if you paid it.
Okay. What if we increase the payment amount?
Okay.
That is the best way to save money.
So the rule goes like this. If your mortgage payment is $600 every 2 weeks or every week, and you can afford to double that amount, you are allowed to bring it to $1,200. You can also bring it to 9. You can bring it to 7. If it is 6, you can bring it to $650, $625. Every dollar you put towards that mortgage payment decreases the amortization.
Okay.
You know what that word means, right?
Yeah, I know that. Like 25 years until you pay off the mortgage.
You put the word in the middle, right? M-O-R-T. What does it mean? Death.
Yeah.
So that's the French word for dying. So the mortgage, that is the time the mortgage will die. That's why they created that. So the amortization is the death of the mortgage. So if you pay $10, $5, whatever you put more on the actual among the bank ones, it goes straight to the principal. So it does not go towards the interest at all. So if your mortgage is $600 and you pay $7, that $100 goes straight to the principal every time you pay that. And that decreases the length of time. The amortization, that 25, 30, whatever years, it decreases that. So it is very wise to do that. So if you have, and you can, that is why people must know their money. That's why I stress it, that you should understand the value and know where your money is at, because you need that. To know it, you can say, well, we can afford another $50 on this mortgage, and that decreases it. But there is magic that happens because it cuts off the amortization right at the fee. Another time you can do it, I always tell my clients, look at your mortgage on the computer. At the end of every month, look at it. So let's say your balance, the total balance, nothing to do with the payment, is sitting at $400,296 and whatever at the end cents, right? So the bank tells you can pay $100 is the minimum you can pay towards the top, cutting off the top of the mortgage. So if you have $100, you put it in. That will decrease the time also, the amortization. So if you look at it, I always tell them to cut the tails off, because the tail is the $96.42. Because interest is calculated on that amount. But if you have zeros there, there's no interest calculated there. So there's no, because interest is compounded on the mortgage, it's interest like that, right? It keeps going.
Yeah.
So you pay that portion off. So you look at your mortgage and it has $122.40 at the end. If you have that money, you make a prepayment, and you are allowed to make it on your computer by yourself. It says prepayment, and you put that in. That also brings the interest down. And it also brings the amortization period down. And that way you're paying for your house faster. So that's two ways to do it. You can double your payment. You can pay more, you can pay a little bit more off the top every month, a minimum of $100. And if you get a bonus, you can still make a lump sum payment up to 20%.
Up to 20%. That was my next question, Tessa. So do we have a limit for paying a lump sum of the mortgage?
It's always 20% of the original mortgage you took out. So if your mortgage was 500, I know you are at 100,000, it's 20% of 500.
Okay.
So you
every
can
year.
Every year. But it's not wise to go all through the year saving that. It's better to make the payments on your, as you have it paid in, Because if you wait to save it for the year, you are also accumulating interest for that year. So it's not a win-win for you, because you have the option to do both. So if you are getting a bonus and you're going to use your bonus to pay down your mortgage, you can also do that. But if you have money that is extra that you can supplement, or more disposable income than you need, put it there. I was talking to a young woman. She has $20,000 in a tax-free savings account. And I said, and you have a mortgage? I said, don't you have an emergency account? She said, yes. I said, well, why do you have money? The tax-free savings account is not giving you anything.
Exactly.
Unless you have it invested in the stock market. But if it's just a tax-free savings account, just because they say you can put money in there, fine, but you have a mortgage. So take that 17,000, pay it on the mortgage, and then take half of that tax. If it makes you so great to feel you have a tax-free savings account, take that half of that money you're putting every month in the tax-free savings account, and take half and put it towards the mortgage. So when she did that, she could pay her mortgage off in 8 years instead of 18 years.
Wow. So I have a question for you, Tessa, regarding that. So I was reading an article last night. It was about increasing the payments, as you mentioned. And I saw that because the amortization is becoming less, you're going to save about something about $50,000 to $100,000.
Oh yeah, or more.
But my question here is that it is for the amortization period, not for the term of the mortgage. It's not for 5 years. It's for 18 years, 20 years, something like that. Am I right?
So, okay, so if you have an amortization period of 20 years or 25, and you have paid an increase, and it will drop the amortization by 5 or 6 years. So now you will have it paid off in 15 years. So that's what it does. But when you do that, when you prepay your mortgage, or when you're renewing your mortgage, when it's lower, never decrease your payment. Keep your payment the same. So when they do that 5-year term inside of the amortization, right?
Yeah.
It's a 20-year amortization and a 5-year term. So that means 4 times a year you have to renew. 4 times you have to renew in there. Don't decrease your payment. Tell them no. You were paying it last week, so keep paying it. If you decrease it, you're going to take longer to pay it. And once you're free of that mortgage, you have money to do whatever it is you want. You know, so that is what you said there. But paying down your amortization, bringing down your amortization can save you $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 or more, and sometimes a lot more.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I received a question. Donato was asking, if I'm wrong, I don't know if I'm right or wrong. Donato, you asked how mindset affects buying real estate or like financial future security. How does that affect that like in our life? If you want to write it again.
So what did he say? Say it again.
I think he asked, what is the role of mindset
to buy investment
in real estate and in financial world, like in terms of, okay, if someone has a HELOC, would you recommend them to buy another property?
Of course, if you can use the HELOC on the existing home to purchase a rental property, and then you will have to pay the HELOC. You have to have sufficient money to pay the HELOC until the rental property can take over that HELOC. So what you do with this HELOC, let's say you borrow 100,000 HELOC on your house and you use that as a down payment on a property. You have to make the payment and you have the option of paying interest only. But what you have to do, as soon as the other property has gone up in value, you refinance it. The extra money you get, you pay down the HELOC. So you have to pay the HELOC down, not because you have to, but it's better financial sense, because you can, any mortgage on the rental property is tax deductible, the interest is tax deductible. On your home, on that HELOC, it's not tax deductible. Because it's on your principal resident.
Okay.
So you would have to put it on, keep taking money from the rental property, pay down the HELOC, pay down your mortgage, and then the rental property, you keep it mortgage, you keep it as mortgage as you want. Because when you sell it, you can pay it out, but you have grown and you've done other things in your life using it as a springboard for future money. So that's how rich people get richer.
Exactly. So
yes.
his question is, how does mindset affect someone's decision to buy real estate? Yeah, in my opinion, as I mentioned earlier, if they want to focus on only cost and saving nickels and diamonds here and there, it's just the mindset that stops them from making a lot of profit.
A lot of money. It's a mindset of poverty, really.
Exactly.
It's a mindset of poverty. It's fear. People are very fearful of taking chances and doing that. But you have, if you have that negative mindset that you never have enough, that there is not enough to go around, and you're scared and you have fear, you just stay with the same thing. You have a job, you go to 9 to 5, and you're not expanding yourself. And yet, in your 30s is the best time, your mid-30s, right up to your 50s is the best time to get involved in real estate, especially if somebody has a gift to be able to fix things. You know, if you can fix it, you can do some of the work yourself. It's a win-win, because you can repair the property. It keeps you busy, but it's legacy. You know,
exactly.
My father used to buy property as we got children, so everybody got something that's yours. That's for this.
Generational wealth.
Generational wealth.
Generational wealth.
So you have to have a property that everybody owns something, that you give it to them. So it's a mindset of lack, a mindset of poverty. It's a mindset of fear. Fear is the big thing. And there's people that's even afraid to buy a house now. There's some people that their parents never own a home. And they're still afraid, and they'll tell them, why don't you wait until the prices drop? Prices has never dropped in Toronto. Even in the 80s when it was 22%, prices didn't drop. It just stayed there. It just hovered around, it hovered up and down, but it never really went down. So the price in the city doesn't go to that point. It will stop, but it never sinks. And that's what happened in the 80s. So people, it's a mindset. It's strictly a mindset of fear that I wouldn't be able to make the payment. And it's really, really hard to, when you meet people like that, they actually will be sweating when you're trying to talk to them. That's how fearful. I've had it happen at the bank. The wife wants or the husband wants, and the other one said, no, my parents lost their house. And they're sitting like that and shaking because of the fear. So I know what that's like. So we had a wonderful night. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you very much, Tessa, for your kind invitation. That was a pleasure and honor to be in this live with you, and thank you, everybody. So Donato is asking.
The pleasure is all mine. It was a pleasure talking to you, to meet somebody that is so caring. I really like your attitude towards how you feel about the client, to the point where you go in and talk to the builder about the client situation and get it a time period lengthened for them. That just shows a lot of care, and keep it up.
Thank you very much.
Because in sales, no matter where you sell, if you are selling in the bank or you're doing what you're doing, what you want is to have a long chain behind you.
Thank you very much.
So keep it up.
Thank you for everything.
And anytime, we feel that we need to chat again, and anytime something unusual happens, even if it's for 15 minutes, let me know and we can drop in and have a chat about it. Because there's always somebody that will learn from what we know.
Thank you, for sure. And I also learned a lot from you. Thank you very much, Tessa.
You're welcome, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you,
Donato, for all your help.
Thank you, Donato. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank everybody who came to see us tonight. I hope you learned something. And remember, knowledge is not yours to keep. So what you learn, you share.
Yes.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.